everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and today, on this day, I have the pleasure of sitting down with a gentleman by the name of Bill Quinn. He is a business consultant and strategist and author, owner of Quinn Consulting, and has some valuable information about business that we can lean into, especially in this world and time where everybody is trying to be an entrepreneur. Looking forward to hearing more about the work that he's doing. But first and foremost, as I always do, sir, I take a quick moment to pause, say thank you to you for making time for me today. Time is a gift. Once we give it, we can't get it back. So I truly, truly appreciate you, especially with the technological glitches, making time for me today. And with that, sir,
thank you for your patience. So
welcome to the show.
Yes, absolutely my pleasure.
Awesome stuff. So you have a storehouse of knowledge and information about this beast we call business. And I want to take some time and pick your brain about a few things today. But I want to start off with one of your books that you have written, and you do have quite a few titles out. But this one that I want to talk about is, let's see if I can get it right. What I Missed, 12 Lessons About Business.
12 Lessons on Business and Life.
Okay. So in that book, you talk about how you got your start in the family dry cleaning business, and a lot of the younger generation might not be aware of dry cleaning. Wash and go, but for us seasoned folks, it's a very
absolutely
a staple in our life back.
It's a way of life. It's
definitely a way of life. But as we get started, I was wondering, could you just kind of unfold how you started out and started this journey, and how it is that we have you in our business world today?
So it started, I used to be embarrassed with this, but it started actually where I was raised. And I was raised on a farm in southern Mississippi. I was raised by my grandparents until I was 14 years old. And they had 120 acres. They grew cotton, corn, cucumbers, that all that stuff. And that was the environment that I grew up in. Younger coming up, you look at, you don't know what you don't know. You don't understand. So I was largely remembering as a young person being embarrassed about living on my grandparents' farm. But you don't know what you don't know. Years go by, and when I left, I did not want to leave. So there's something about that embarrassment that I really didn't understand, because there were things that were planted even as a child that I had value. Work ethic is a big one, and I'm still learning that. But commitment is another one.
Gotcha.
Persistence is another one. They were entrepreneurs, but I didn't know that they were entrepreneurs. They were running their own business. I wrote in my book somewhere that I did not realize that I lived in a household, or how valuable this thought was, that I lived in a household where the adults didn't work for someone else. I didn't know how big that was. Today, everybody's in craze about self-employment or working for themselves, independence and what have you. Well, I literally grew up in that environment. And so it's embedded in my DNA. It's in there in a big way. And then other things that are there that are profound that I'm finding out. I lived in southern Mississippi. There's a lot of negative about Mississippi, but on the other side of it, that negative can bring positive. It's how we put our perspective around it. If we think bad things, sometimes God does something, or sometimes these bad things that happen in our life, or we perceive them as bad things, are actually teaching things. So I got a lot of teaching at a very young age and didn't understand what it is. That led me further on as I got older, transferred to the North, got exposed to the city life, did what most young Black males do, get in trouble because there's no dad there to ground and solid and put things in. So, shorten it up, by the time I was 18, turning 19, I was a licensed real estate agent. But I had a great job prior to being a licensed real estate agent. I started out as there's something that is always there. I had a job as a laborer in a concrete pipe factory.
Okay.
They made these big concrete products that you see on construction sites
Okay.
all over the country right now. It's been I'd never visioned myself as that. Actually, always wanted to go in the real estate business. Was going to college and working the job as a laborer. 6 months in the job, I moved from a laborer to a machine operator.
Okay.
Because the opportunity came up for a job that nobody else would take.
Okay.
And I took the job. Didn't know and didn't have enough wisdom around me is the best way to say, hey, take that and lean into it. They laid me off my job, and I was going to school. Actually, I was going to school 3/4 time and working full time. So that driven part of me is always there. It's always been there. It just, years here I am 50 some years later, close to 60 some years later, it's just there.
Yeah.
So from that real estate experience, 5 years after that, I had gained enough knowledge to know how to put business transactions together. And my mom lost her job, and need drives everything. We don't like need. We don't like hard things, but actually that's where your success is at. So my mom came to me trying to buy the business that she was working in. And I tried to put the deal together and couldn't put it together.
Okay.
Didn't have the capital, didn't have the knowledge, didn't understand. But I had been putting real estate transactions together by that time for roughly 5 years. So I had enough sense.
How old were you then?
I was 25.
Oh, still young. Okay, go ahead.
Still a baby at the end of the day. And so we couldn't do that first deal. Another transaction came up. It was a little ragtag business in what's downtown Pontiac. And I had been putting real estate deals together for a while. There's not a long extension from a residential transaction to a commercial or industrial transaction. And I knew the parts. And I put the parts together, cobbled together a down payment, found someone that could invest in the business with us. And the next thing you know, first business is open. Once you get in business, I didn't understand that farm life was there. There's always problems to deal with.
Okay.
So we started dealing with problems in the business. 2 years in, we bought the second business because we had a problem with an existing vendor that wasn't servicing some of the work that we were doing. And any business person gets this. It just is steeped into their DNA that you gotta service your customers. Period. If you want them to do business with you, you need to take care of them. There's no magic to that. I mean, when the marketing people out here, make all of these claims and whatever, but the real deal at the end of the day is you better have a mindset to help people.
Yeah.
And bend over backwards while you're doing it. Don't abuse yourself, but just give good service.
It's about the customer.
It's about the customer. It's about making sure that the customer gets what they pay for. And there's nothing wrong with that. So that was naturally built in. I had been selling real estate. I understood the process of selling real estate. It's transferable. Sales is transferable to any industry.
Yes.
And so I just, make sure if they're bringing their clothes to you, get those clothes serviced the way they need to be serviced.
Gotcha. Buy
the equipment that you need to make sure you get it serviced. So we were about adding more bandwidth and figuring out how to grow. It wasn't the easiest thing in the world to do because there were, the things that people talk about African-American businesses and what they don't have now. Imagine 40 years ago.
Yeah.
and what that was like. There
The
was
knowledge base and all of that stuff.
that
Yes.
the lack of information, and new things were just coming in.
Mhm.
So to shorten the story up a little bit, by the time I was roughly 10 years later, I added 7 more different operations to the enterprise. We went from a little retail outlet to a wholesale operation, retooled the entire business, set up a government contract with county government, went and bid on a little small contract, and then grew that contract over like a 7 or 8 year period from a little small, maybe about $300 a week, out to about $4,000 a week. We were doing really strange things, setting up delivery systems. We were just, my thinking with someone is, if you want to expand your business, you just need to recognize where your customers are at, and then figure out how to deliver that product or service to that customer.
Okay.
And if you're passionate about it, you're going to get some.
Mm-hmm. There's a
And
customer out there for everyone.
there's a customer for everyone, but you need to be prepared to deliver to that customer.
Mm-hmm.
That was already baked into my thinking. And so for me, what I do today is advise clients on growth opportunities, finance opportunities, all geared towards a customer mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It all has a customer center, because without the customer, you don't win. People often come to me looking for funding. Well, the first thing that I say to people about funding is, do you have customers? Because what good is the funding if you don't have customers? You can't pay for it.
Yeah. I need to see what the profit's going to be like on this whole
You
thing.
got to have the profitability to service that debt and that liability that you're bringing on. So there's always been this passion, and interestingly enough, while I did that, I was in the real estate industry, I was in the dry cleaning industry, I was involved in finance, actually love finance, have always loved it in its own way. Business finance, didn't like residential, but love business finance. And the reason that I love business finance is it's relatively simple. When you acquire business finance, you're going to make a profit with it. When you acquire consumer finance, cars, clothes,
okay.
shoes, fancy stuff, jewelry,
Okay.
etc., there's no ROI on that unless you're in that line of work.
Gotcha.
But there's no ROI on it, so it's dead weight at the end of the day. And most of us in our culture, we're buying the fancy cars. I did it myself, so I can't knock folk. I'm exposed to it myself. But we're buying the fancy things, and the assets that are on our back can't give us a return.
Yes. Nobody teaches us the difference between assets versus liabilities. We just don't know. We don't get that information.
It's just not out there. So we don't understand buying that new hot suit unless you're using that suit to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make any sense to buy the suit.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna go buy that suit to go hang out with my buddies, I just blew it.
Yeah.
Or if I'm gonna buy a car, and I did this myself more times than I like to think about. I'm gonna buy a car just to look good in.
As soon as you drive it off the lot, it's depreciated. Yes.
Yes, it's amazing though. So I learned some years later how it is not in our culture. It's an American cultural problem that we are not taught personal finance.
Yeah.
Why? In the wealthiest country in the world, we're not taught personal finance. Something wrong with that.
Yeah. But maybe because this country is built on consumerism,
it is absolutely built on consumerism, and it is built with a top-down perspective, and education is really not a priority. Say it is, but it's really not a priority.
Yeah.
And so me, I another mindset of business, I guess I can share with you of what all of that led to, is I believe in educating people in business.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because I run into too many of them that are not. And I get it because I've been exposed to it myself. But there is a massive amount of educational opportunity out there. And I believe that a business owner should have a lifetime learning mentality. We need it everywhere else too, but in
Yeah.
business, I feel like you just got to have it.
Because
But
things are always changing and evolving.
forever changing, you never know what you're going to be involved in. You never know what you're going to be up against. And you never know the opportunities that are going to come to you.
Yeah.
They're always going to come, whether you respect it or not. Opportunities are always there. Now, with an educational mindset, it prepares you for opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have that mindset of learning new stuff, when the opportunity shows up, are you ready?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hopefully I answered your question. I can go off on a tangent. I think
No,
you know.
no, no, no. You know, that's good. But I want to pick apart some of the things that you mentioned in that. And part of that is that it was your mother that came to you and said, "Hey, I've got this
Yes,
opportunity." And that brings to mind this concept of going into business with family.
yes.
And over the years, I've kind of heard different sides
Well,
of the fence on this
I
matter.
can I will not sit here and say that I did not have my share. Okay. There's still some scars, okay?
So,
Uh,
I mean,
and
any
you probably read
hindsight,
it.
any hindsight on like going into business with family? Yes. Okay.
I would not do it again.
Okay. Okay.
I would not do it again
Okay.
unless it's the right one.
Okay.
But it's very difficult to do. Um, my struggle is that I'm a sore thumb. What is that? What do I mean by that? I'm I don't fit into a regular dynamic.
Mm,
And that growth mentality, that's part of that life learning mentality. It's just
mhm.
always been there. I hid it around my family
Okay.
to a large degree. I would do the deals, but it was difficult to get them to see where I was coming from
Gotcha.
because they thought I was a little strange.
Yes.
And you have to be somewhat a little strange to look at an opportunity in a certain way and say, yes, I can do that.
Hmm.
Where most of us look at opportunity and say, no, you sure you can do that?
I
Uh,
think that's the problem with family structure. Sometimes some of the elders want to say, well, we've always done it this way. And
Number
this is
one,
yes,
yes,
so let's keep on doing it this way. And then you
yes,
have that one person like, no, there's this wonderful wide open world out there.
yes.
And that's Bill. Let's try this. Let's try this. And they're like,
I can tell you on and on and on conversations that I've had with other folks that came out of family dynamics like that. It's
okay.
it's heavy in our culture. Other cultures are not to say they don't have the issues, but there is a there are generational experiences that other cultures have had with, I'll use the term success loosely,
Hmm.
with being in business and working together in business.
Hmm.
So they start out
Gotcha.
earlier.
Gotcha. Understood. Okay.
They have a larger bandwidth, more people
Hmm.
to support them, and so they have a different mindset, a different outlook.
Hmm.
Our one of our biggest things is the way the educational system has been functioned in this country. We weren't allowed to get a higher education for a
True.
long time.
True.
So if you don't have that higher education experience, it's hard to transfer that knowledge, if you will,
Hmm.
that you may have without having that life experience in a classroom.
Yeah.
Not to say that life experience on the job isn't valuable. It's extremely valuable, but there are some fundamental things that you need to get out of a classroom setting, theories that support better
Yes.
a business owner that's trying to scale, trying to manage people, trying to build relationships, looking to get a different ideology.
Gotcha.
And bigger business is embedded in education.
Mhm.
So we miss the access points because we don't have those educational relationships.
Sure. Gotcha.
So not that you can't be successful without that piece. You can be, it's proven, definitely. But education enhances business. At least that's my view of it.
Makes it a little easier to take that
Makes
leap
it a
and
little
step.
easier, makes it easier for you to communicate. You're learning some fundamental things like speech, like etiquette, like respect for folk.
Mhm.
I remember taking a human relations course, and after I took that course, I wondered, well, like, why is this all the way at the end? Why isn't it right up in the middle of everything that you're doing in the business dynamic? It's down at the end. You're going to do a human relations course, and the most important thing in business is human relations. But we're not teaching them human relations. What's wrong with that? I don't get it.
Yeah.
But those soft skills is oftentimes we miss,
Yeah.
because the soft skills are everything.
That's it.
You know, they without soft skills, what you do is predominantly soft skills.
We're not here to talk about me, Mr.
I
Quinn.
know I can easily go, I can go.
We're not here to talk about me.
Let me stop.
This is your day. This is your
Yes,
day.
yes, let me
But
stop.
because I still have stuff to unpack about what you're saying. You mentioned too about you've said it a couple times about scaling your business. You did it with your family business. You started out with one and moved up. And I'm reminded of a company, my birth city, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. There's a company called Krispy Kreme there. And
Yes,
I remember like 20 years ago, they decided to just scale rapidly.
right.
And they opened all of these
Yep,
locations and almost went bankrupt because they did it too fast.
right,
Um, Scaling is a position that business owners hopefully want to be in. You want, well, scaling up, let me say that. Scaling up
right,
is a position where you
right.
hope to, I mean, how did you say, what was going on where, or what indicators does somebody say, well, I think it's time for me to start considering, because for me, that would be scary. Like, okay, I'm comfortable here. Like, I know this is working, like, and that's a big jump to say, I want
So
more.
why want more? When I look at an enterprise, I look at a number of things. Um, Definitely if there's profitability there, but another piece that I've always looked at, because it's a family dynamics, family business, is how many family members can you support?
Mhm.
So if you're at a certain position, you need to add on new business opportunity in order to
Okay.
generate more revenue that would
Okay.
support more family members.
Okay.
So there was the one of the biggest rationales that I had
Okay.
is is it wasn't growing just for the heck. Okay, we're gonna grow.
Okay.
We're growing because if you're going to create something of substance, then you've got to add additional revenue. You
Okay.
have to have that in your framework.
Okay.
There is the mindset that I have that flies in the face of a lot of folk, but I'm a believer that if you're not growing, you're dying.
Mhm. Mhm.
So some folks think that I'm, just sit back and let it happen. Well, in business, you've always got competition. And if you rest on your laurels, I'm sorry, just there is a degree of driving,
Mhm.
of I don't want to say the word winning, but there's part of that there. But more specifically, if you're not driving your revenue, if you're not putting things in place to increase your revenue, then it's very easy for you to be going backwards.
Gotcha.
So scaling for me had a bunch of different rationales in my brain. Did I run into some problems? Absolutely. Absolutely. I can appreciate where Krispy Kreme's situation is at, because there is a risk with growth.
Mm-hmm.
There is a chance you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Which one you choose?
Yeah. Well, they had to bring in a new guy and he kind of revamped some things, and now they're on course, but it was just really like a implosion.
We had similar issues.
Mm-hmm.
We had some amazing things happen. I was talking to a gentleman the other day, yesterday or the day before, I forget which one. But anyway, we were just sharing some old wounds. And being a business owner is a challenge. It's not for the faint of heart.
Well, let me put a pencil in it real quick. What do you say to the young people that come up to you with these grand ideas that, I'm gonna be a millionaire in a year, man? You just wait and see, and they just
I ask my normal questions. What's your business plan? Who's your team? You got to have a team. You're not going to go to $1 million by yourself. It's just not going to happen. It's not realistic. Which is one of the problems that we ran into, because we had family, and I mistook family as the team element. And don't get me wrong, brilliant skill sets, but you got to be able to work together. So if those relationships are not put in place first, then forget about the rest.
Yeah.
So team probably is the missing component of any success of any failing business. If you have the right team, and even in your business, I guarantee you got team members. Whether you acknowledge them or not, you've got to have support people in your system to help move you forward. So when I'm speaking to a young person, I'm always, or older person for that matter, I'm always trying to figure out what their team is about. Have they written a plan? What does that look like? Doesn't have to be an elaborate plan, just a plan that makes sense, and that it has some structure, and you've thought about it, and you've shared it with someone so you can get another person's perspective on it. So just stop and think, because it's easy to get caught up in stuff.
Yes.
My goodness, is it so easy?
Yes, I've overheard some conversations of some younger folks, and I'm just gonna get my Instagram account and Facebook, and I'm gonna be rolling it. I'm like, no, it's a little bit more than that, but
yeah. So and capture some wisdom if you can. Get with some older members that have been down the path. It's amazing what knowledge they have. I'm with some older gentlemen that they're literally at my age, and we feed off each other.
Iron sharpens iron.
Yes, and you would be amazed at what you can find out there. So for young people, we're in a society that kind of puts down older people, but it's amazing the resources that are available.
Yes.
If you're open-minded about it, and you're looking at building some good relationships.
Yes. Just the wisdom, like you said, the customer service, those soft skills about how to deal with people and navigate personalities,
Yes.
I will say, I think the younger generation is kind of lacking in some of that. And that's some of the wisdom that they can take and impart in their day-to-day lives and business lives with people. So
yeah, we've not embraced, our culture is not Western court culture, at least from the limited view that I've had, doesn't respect older people.
Mm.
And because we don't respect older people, our younger people lose.
Yes.
In other cultures, if you'll notice, the older people are embedded in the culture.
Yes. Yes.
They're part of it. It's a way of life for them. And the younger people are taking care of the older ones, but they're also reaping back all of those benefits from being exposed to those older cultures. If you watch Africans, if you watch Indians out of the Asian continents, if you watch people out of the Middle East,
True.
they're vested in their senior citizens.
Yes.
We just want to storm away.
Yes. Yes. I was just having a conversation with a young lady about that, and just on the economic level, with childcare. I was saying, when we had grandparents or elders in the home or close by, these were assistants in the caregiving environment. Childcare is $40,000 a year. I mean, that's money that could be coming back into the household.
And what family could support that? I mean, who can really afford that kind of cost to maintain your household? That's too a extremely valuable asset in the household because you're bringing that child up. So, yeah.
I appreciate, and maybe because I know I'm 1 foot in that area or in that destination.
Well, I'm all the way in, so.
But I mean, it's just the family structure that I was raised in to appreciate that wisdom, and these are my elders behind me. I would not really be who I am without them. So some of us get it. Some of us get it.
Yep.
But let me circle back here, because I can go all over the place here. One things I want to ask you is when it comes to small business owners or business owners, people starting up, one things I have consistently heard over and over again is, I don't have money to hire a consultant. I'm just barely, I can't do it. What's the downfalls, or what's the problems with that mindset?
So I always give the story. I always give the story of my personal experience, and I wrestle with it constantly. It's just always there. But the story goes like this. There was a lady that approached me to provide some HR consulting for me. And I looked at her rates 40 years ago, and I just freaked out. She was asking for, I'll never forget it. She was asking for $150 an hour. And I looked at the numbers, and I'm one of the decision makers, usually one of the lead decision makers, and I just could not see that we could handle it. And that cost us, because I didn't lean in and say, let's figure out how to bring her on, but don't bring her, because my mistake is that I viewed that we were going to be paying her like we'd pay a regular staff.
Oh, okay.
So when I saw 150, I just started adding the numbers up. It's like, I'm not going to pay you $2,000 a week. Or whatever that number is translated. Well, that really wasn't how it should have even been looked at. Okay. And that was me not understanding that wisdom. I needed to bring the wisdom in, because if I had just changed my thinking slightly, it's not a whole lot, wasn't a big shift. It would have saved me dearly, because shortly after that, I ended up hiring a general manager. And when I hired that general manager, I needed every bit of that that HR consultant, to help me with that dynamic, because it was the wrong person.
Oh, wow.
So I say to anyone that's asking or looking for, and I get not having the money. Don't get me wrong. I get not having the money. I've been there myself. It's always in your face. The reality, though, is that you need to have that knowledge, and you're buying that knowledge. And sometimes we can't wrap our head around the knowledge. My son says to me constantly in our conversations, and he states it this way: whatever you pay for, you can comfortably acclimate to that customer. So whatever level you're paying at is where you're more than likely your income is going to stop at. So for business owners that want to get scale and grow, then you need to have reasonably higher end advisors around you, affiliated with you, associated with you, because that's going to put you in the mindset of that client that you're going to be engaging at that higher end level. If that makes any sense. You need to understand how to deal with a higher end customer. Best way to understand how to deal with a high end customer, be one yourself.
Okay, and invest in your business.
Invest in your business, yes. And you're gonna get wisdom out of that, profound wisdom. It just comes with the territory.
I think that's interesting how you said, your first thought was $150 an hour, like she's a 40-hour-a-week employee.
Yes.
But, and part of that is we need to constantly, and you mentioned this before, we need to constantly educate ourselves just about how some of the inner working systems and dynamics work.
Yes.
It's just a constant process.
Freelance is a way of life now. It wasn't back then. So I'm coming through the 80s. So so for a lot of folk that might be listening to us, is like maybe they were born, maybe they weren't. So it's a long time ago. Today, it's common to hear freelancers. And consultants. It's big. It's extremely big. I'm in a group of consultants. There's about 100 of them. It's big. But I know, because of the many opportunities that I've had to be exposed to people, because I've had those exposures, because I've hired people a certain way, because I've been in these circumstances, that you need those experiences for your clients and your customers. If you don't get those, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you, I believe.
Just had a total different brain thought here. You mentioned your son earlier. What business skills do you think you've passed on to your son, the next generation?
Oh my God. So he grew up in the family businesses, part of his years. He was off to school in the later years. My son does basically what I do in consulting, coaching. He's naturally taken it to another level. So he's a leadership coach, and literally travels around the world doing presentations, mostly here in the States, to corporations, educational institutions, nonprofits, associations. He's got tons of associations that he's done presentations to, large billion-dollar companies that he teaches leadership in a very emphatic way. So his statement to me is, "Dad, I learned all this from you."
Took Dad's work toward the next level.
Dad's work towards the next level. So I'm really proud of him, of what he's done, what he's doing. And I have to appreciate the fact that there was something that I've given back. And we're in the future, we're looking at potentially working together. But he's got, in my opinion, a very amazing career. Does some amazing things. He works for Duke CE, which is a corporate education arm of Duke University.
Okay. My home state. I'm from North Carolina. Okay.
Yes, North Carolina. Uh, uh, University of North Carolina is one of his clients.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I can go on and on about clients. Stryker is a client. Urban League of Chicago is a client. Drug Courts Association all over the country are clients.
Okay.
University of Oregon is a client. I can't name them all.
There's a Bible scripture that says you will know them by their fruit. So you have some pretty amazing fruit that you have produced.
But my daughter, who I was visiting with, she's a writer. So something that she's not leaning into, but you can't tell a child to do what they want to do or what you think they need to do. They have to come into their own. She's a brilliant author, in my opinion, but that's a dad. And her passion is African American history. But she's got a good job. She works for Porsche, doing Excel systems and spreadsheets and fun stuff like that.
Okay. So we all still have a family business some way together. Baby girl's helping you do the books, and son is helping you do the.
So more so, the son is more an advisor. Baby girl doesn't get into too much of.
No partnerships there, huh?
The wife is my biggest, I'll call it support person. So
cheerleader, right?
He's cheerleader, advocate, support, keeps my perspective. She's been doing it forever though.
She's got some practice.
She's got a lot of practice at it.
She's got a lot of practice at it.
But I would not be where I'm at without her. So to have an advocate, like, I don't know what to say. And somebody I do know what to say. I was listening to a gentleman maybe a month or so ago, and they made a statement that what a successful business owner should have. And one of the last statement, they went through 13 things, and the one that stuck in my head the most was having a good woman. And that's what has sustained me.
Yes, indeed.
You need a good partner. If you don't have a good partner, it's going to be hard.
Yes, indeed. Because some of those days are rough, and you don't know if you're going to make it, and you need somebody that you can come, because you have to show this face out in the public. But when you're behind closed doors, you have to be able to have some space to let it all go.
So she's been with me. I'll just go all the way back to the real estate career. I was studying for my real estate license. I was 19 years old, and I studied the glossary in a real estate book with her, and then went and took the test and passed the test. And that's how far we go back.
Awesome.
I've made my share of mistakes.
We are humans, as we all do. Yes.
But I would say she knows me better than anybody. She understands it. She gets it. I can drive her crazy.
And she'll still show up again the next day for the same thing.
And she'll still show up. Food. I mean, I would say that I am unbelievably blessed. Awesome. Support. She makes sure that I don't overwork. Yeah. She makes sure that I get food when I need food. I mean, I could just go on and on and on. Awesome. Household is taken care of, because she knows when I go to work, I go to work. but relationships. Without relationships, now that's what I would say to any business owner. New or have been around, you've got to have those key relationships. Without them, you're not going to make it.
Awesome. And that kind of circles back to, what you were saying in the beginning about all these life lessons we get from things that we don't really understand that we're getting, like working on the farm,
Yes.
and how that was applicable to business life, and even in your relationship, your marriage with your wife, how some of those elements can be applied to those soft skills can be applied to your business life.
My grandparents, my granddad died when he was 88. My grandmom, years later, she was 102. They had been together 60 plus years when my granddad died. So somehow it's kind of easy for me to have that same thing happen because it's something I grew up with. It was just there. Do we argue? Do we not get along with things?
Of course.
Yes. But once you find that friendship, and I think that's what's missing in our culture is friendships. Once you find that friendship, it's very powerful.
Yes.
I can't, my God, I can't say, I really, what can you say?
Yes, indeed. It is a missing element. I think we're seeing across the board in all cultures is, people are not maintaining these long-term relationships. And one of the things that I like to tell people is, in some ways, marriage is a business relationship, and you have to think about the financial resource. It's just, you can't just.
It is literally.
Yes.
Even I take it to the church. I'll take it to the church in a heartbeat, because the church is a business relationship. We don't want to own it that way. But why we miss in our churches is because we don't have a business relationship with God, and we view it as something is wrong.
Yes.
How is it something is wrong when he owns everything? If he owns everything, then yes, he needs to be in your business.
Yes.
It needs to be a part of the dynamic. And don't get me wrong, I struggle with it for years.
Yes.
But without him in your business, how do you get clarity?
Yes.
How do you have respect? How do you do the right thing or the wrong thing? How do you?
It is a book of day-to-day principles to guide you in every aspect of your life, and business is one of those.
It is so fundamental. It's in there. It's in there. And I think that's where, many of us in business struggle with. I did for a long time. Once I accepted it, then it made sense.
After a while,
how am I going to treat you as a client right if I'm not lined up with him right?
True.
How do I do that? So if I don't have the lineup, then I don't have the mental framework to take care of the folks that he's blessed me with the opportunity to do business with.
Yes. Here it is. I'm giving you customers and how you treat them.
Yes. It means everything. So how would you want to be treated? Anyway.
Blessings on blessings. Well, sir, I have taken up more than my 30 minutes of time.
Yes, it tends to happen.
As I know, with you and I, we can go for a minute here. I don't know if it's that Southern thing. You said you grew up in Mississippi, and I want to talk about, where did that 120 acres go? Because that was wealth for real for Black folks there.
60 acres is still there. Well, it's there, but it's there. Okay.
Yes, we have lost so much money when it comes to our farms, but
there's another 7 acres that my siblings and I have not gotten our brain together.
Okay.
To embrace it.
Okay.
But I have to appreciate the fact that my siblings were raised a little different than me.
Mhm.
So I have this weird mindset.
Mhm.
And so economics doesn't, economics is something that is bred in you over time.
Yes.
And a lot of folks can't see it,
Yeah.
or they see it as too much trouble.
Mhm. Gotcha. I understand.
And anything worthwhile is not too much trouble.
No, not at all.
But
I mean, you might not see the reward today, but
right,
in time, it's planting a seed in time.
business takes time,
Yes.
of value, something of value takes time.
Well, dear, I am going to close it up because, like I said, if I don't
It,
now, if I don't
we
now,
can go, we can go,
we can
we
go
can
for a
we
while.
can go
We can go
pretty
for a while. We can
right.
go for a while. So
This is
let me.
I want to thank you for having me. I'm still enamored. You
My pleasure. My pleasure. I'm going to ask you my random question. Let's see what we've got here. If you could pick one celebrity, dead or alive, to have lunch or dinner with, who would it be?
dead or alive, one celebrity. One person popped in my head just that quick, and that was Sidney Poitier.
Oh, that would be phenomenal. Such
That
class, such
one
oh,
person that would be he's Martin Luther King fits
yeah,
too. I definitely would take him on. But Sidney Poitier, who is a Martin Luther King advocate.
yes, yes.
um, he would be the one.
Awesome.
Love
That would
Cicely
be
Tyson. I love Cicely Tyson too. So,
such dignified.
I literally cried when she died.
Yeah, yeah.
I I think the same thing happened with Sydney. But from what I know, I don't know if this to be true or not. From what I know and I'd heard he would speak to me like an individual.
Yes, yes.
It wouldn't be different. It wouldn't be
Just
he
sitting
would
down to have a regular
it would just be a regular
conversation.
conversation. Yes.
Awesome.
It
Yes,
would
yes.
be and sometimes you can literally feel people on that screen. They're who they say they are. They're who they are. They're the people that they're acting.
Mhm.
That's who they are.
Yeah. And
Otherwise,
you can tell by what the work that he put his hands to do off screen. You know what I'm saying? You
oh,
can tell his
absolutely.
character. Yeah.
Another one would be, I know his stage name comes to mind. Why can't I think of his name? Oh God, I can't think. I can think of his stage name, but I can't think of his name. Reading Rainbow.
LeVar Burton.
Yes.
LeVar, yes.
So
Roots. Kunta Kinte and Roots.
Kunta Kinte, Geordie LaForge.
Yes. One of my favorite characters.
Yes.
Yeah, LeVar. Yes, okay.
So those, I mean, younger me wasn't there with that. Older me respect what they do. I learned and appreciate it. This black man has been telling kids of all races about
Yes.
reading
Just reading.
forever.
Ever and ever. Ever and ever. And it's not on no, I mean, it's not widespread knowledge. That's another big issue, right?
Yes, yes. He's been doing this, I'm going to say back in the 70s. I forget exactly when.
Back when I was watching Sesame Street. Yep.
Yes, he's been doing this for such a long time, and he's still passionate about it today.
Mhm.
Hasn't changed, hasn't left.
You can tell by what he puts his hands to do.
So I would, there's probably a few of them today. Younger me didn't have that star in my eyes thinking, but you learn that there's some good people out there.
Yeah, we all have seasons in life, and I
Yep.
think that's one of the things we have to allow ourselves to rest in and understand that and have some grace with ourselves, like how stupid and dumb we were when we
Yep.
were
Yeah.
16,
Yeah. You didn't know. You didn't know any better, right? You
Yeah,
didn't
you didn't know, so well, so tell us how we connect with you and get in touch with you and websites or whatever. How do we reach you?
So my website is equinconsulting.com.
Okay.
That's that's one, and then the other one is the Quinn Quantum Academy.com. You can reach me at bill@equinconsulting.com. And if you want to call me, my phone that I've had for probably 30 years is 248-460-3840. And I'd be glad to chat with you.
Phone for 30 years. So that means that phone, when it started out, it had that cord.
Something like that. Something like that.
Ew, that one part, you drag that from one room to the other.
Yeah.
All righty, dear.
Yes.
Well, I am truly honored. I am honored. I'm appreciative. I thank you for making this time to chat with me and share your story.
Well, I'd like to do it again. And then I like to, as I said before, I like to reciprocate. So I don't know how that looks or what it looks like.
Okay.
But you're doing some amazing things. So and I know how. It just dawned on me. I forgot.
Well, you said earlier teamwork, so I couldn't do amazing things without you as part of the team. So that's all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I'm your host, Lana Reid, and I will see everybody next time.